What do you know, folks? Here we are, back in the old Fun Ahead headquarters making videos once again, and boy, does it feel good to be back. I took a bit of a paternity leave after my wife and I had our very first child. Boy, that has been an adjustment, but I'll tell you what, everything is going well. My wife is doing well, our child is doing well, all is good. Happy to report everyone's healthy. I really appreciate all of you for your support and your kind comments about wishing me the best with regards to our upcoming familial change. But enough chit chat. We have to talk about this thing right here. And unfortunately, I left off at kind of a weird point because we had just finished a big project on this thing. We just finished doing coilovers on all four corners. We put an ACU Sump in this thing, and we put a spicy exhaust on this thing in the form of a Fab Speed X pipe, all of which have yet to be evaluated and formally shown to you guys on the channel. You've only seen me install it all on the lift over here. We haven't had it out on the road together yet, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're gonna get this thing out on the road, evaluate all of the changes. We're gonna talk about how much it cost me to do each and every one of these items, and then we'll talk about, was it worth it to do each of those? And should you do any of these or all of them to your car? A lot of stuff to cover, a lot of stuff to consider. So let's go ahead, stop chit-chatting. We gotta get this puppy out on the road and get to evaluating. Let's do it.
Pull back, drop in, and just smack the bah!
My entire goal with this car is to build the greatest 911 of all time. Now, what does that mean? Well, of course, there are many differing opinions on what it means to be the greatest 911 of all time, the greatest anything of all time. But to be the greatest at something, you have to have something to achieve. Now, in my opinion, the greatest of all time 911 for me, my personal GOAT, would be a 911 that is just absolutely monstrous on track, highly capable, highly powerful, highly reliable, but balanced. And a car that I can turn around and drive home from the track if I want to, be able to comfortably and reliably do so. That is my goal with this vehicle, which is why about a year and a half ago, we did an elective total engine rebuild on this thing, wherein we replaced every single internal engine component to make this thing not only much more powerful, but much, much more reliable. If you missed that series, go back and check out the Project Beef playlist on my channel. You can get yourself up to speed on that. We went through everything on this engine with a fine-tooth comb. It is an absolute beast, but that left this car overall a bit unbalanced. In the world of cars, you've got your powertrain and you've got your chassis. The entire powertrain had been gone through very thoroughly, but it was still riding on its original 110,000 mile, 24-year-old springs and dampers, and all of the control arms, bushings, and ball joints were original as well, meaning that this chassis felt pretty tired, giving this car an overall pretty unbalanced feel. While it went like a bat out of hell, it didn't exactly give you the most confidence when you went to huck it into a corner. That is the entire goal of the most recent project with this thing that I've deemed the beefening. All part of making this thing the greatest 911 of all time, feeding back into that original goal. I want this thing to handle as well as it goes. And lastly, of course, we went ahead and threw on that Fab Speed X pipe just because, obviously, you know? My greatest of all time 911 absolutely needs to sound as close to a GT3 as possible. So I guess we'll find out if we've achieved that goal today. So with that little bit of background in mind, now we can go ahead and get this puppy out on the road and start to evaluate all the individual things that we've done to it. Let's go check it out. Alrighty, now first things first, let's go ahead and do a little bit of evaluation with regards to the ACU Sump, because we can actually check the effectiveness out of that before even starting the engine. Now, if you're familiar with engine wear characteristics, you'll know that the highest wear time occurs immediately after startup because you don't yet have your oil pressure up and throughout the engine, but not with an ACU Sump. So we've got this thing pressurized because of the last time we drove the car. We jump in the car, we go ahead and turn the key. Watch this. All right, here we go. Going ahead, turning the ignition on. And you can see coolant temp is at the minimum, so I have not had this thing on at all. Oil pressure is obviously at 0 like normal. Oil level, decent. I'm gonna go ahead and flip on our ACU Sump so that it dumps the oil. Ready? See that? Boom, look at that. We have over 1 bar of oil pressure in the engine, and I haven't even turned the key yet. That's kind of sweet, right? With the ACU Sump, we can eliminate a time where the engine is making the most wear, and that is right after startup, because we have the entire engine pre-lubricated now. Pretty cool. So a quick exhaust evaluation. Here we are cruising along about 4,000 RPMs. Oh, that is awesome. That right there makes the X-Pipe worth every freaking penny. Wow. Wow. Oh, that doesn't make any freaking sense. Oh, yes. Oh. Okay. That in-car exhaust note is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the heel toes. Oh. Oh, yeah. And like I don't know if you can hear it very well, but the little burbles when you get off throttle. Oh. Oh, dude. This freaking thing is awesome. Unbelievable. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this entire project, and that is the suspension. Let's do some quick evaluations of that. So, the whole reason behind putting a much more high-performance suspension on this car is to make it more focused in the track area. Of course, the stock suspension needs to do everything. It needs to be able to be a wonderful road car, very comfortable, awesome for daily commuting, and it needs to be able to be a sports car. That's what a 911 is. So therefore, it needs to also be able to translate its suspension usability onto the track as well. The point of putting coilovers on the car is that we can kind of reshuffle the priorities of what the suspension is capable of. We don't want or don't necessarily need the capabilities of being so comfortable on road. Well, I'm not going to be commuting in this thing. That's not what I use the car for. But we do want it to be an even better sports car. So therefore, taking some of the on-road usability skill points and putting them in the bucket of track use. So a couple of the things I'm going to be looking for with regards to this coilover suspension as compared to before is its ability to turn more flat and to resist brake dive. Why is that important? Well, the main thing with suspension and usability in an on-track setting is controllability. You want a suspension that removes the vagueness, and you don't get the full capabilities of that particular handling function, braking, turning, acceleration, what have you, until your weight is completely settled onto whichever tires the weight is going to settle on. So by removing the ambiguity and kind of adding stiffness, you decrease that transition time for the weight. And in doing so, you therefore handle better, remove ambiguity, and improve your lap times. All right, so the first thing that we're going to evaluate, and one thing that was particularly bad with the stock suspension in a high performance setting, was brake dive. This car had so much travel in the suspension, and when you were transitioning from full acceleration to full braking, there was a massive amount of front end dip. And that therefore increased my braking zones significantly because of all of that ambiguity going into a corner. Now, obviously I'm not in an on-track scenario right now, so we're not able to push it in the same way as we would if we were on a track braking from 130 miles an hour, but we can brake from a high enough speed to feel if there's any kind of improvement. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, already I can tell that there's a massive, massive difference in the amount of time that it takes and the amount of distance, therefore, that it takes to transition the weight onto the front wheels primarily in order for a full-out near ABS braking event to happen. All right, now let's go ahead and see what it feels like when we just shift weight from side to side. Now, obviously, the anti-roll bars in the car govern this motion significantly, but they kind of step in and help the stock suspension a lot. Obviously, if you improve your suspension on all four corners, you can therefore improve your body roll characteristics as well. And I can already tell just from doing those few little turns back and forth that this thing is so much more direct than it used to be. So if I were to like turn into a corner, yeah, I can just tell right away that with this new alignment and with the new suspension that the entire chassis just turns and points so much more quickly and with so much less ambiguity than it used to do. That's exactly what we want. Having that chassis responsiveness in addition to that extra engine horsepower, it literally just, it's a completely different car. And it's exactly just the sweet spot in a high performance setting of what I think a 996 should be. We just got back from our evaluation drive with the old 996 behind me, and man, what a good time that was. Did we notice changes in all of the respective areas that we made changes to the car? How much did all of it cost? And was it worth it? So, the ACU Sump. Obviously, it's very difficult to fully evaluate the ACU Sump in an on-road setting. We really need to be on a racetrack to do that because it requires driving the car very, very quickly and being in a very high-speed, sustained corner in order for the oiling system to actually be tested in that way. That said, we obviously did the pre-lubrication with the ACU Sump prior to starting the car up just now. That works wonders. So as for the exhaust, well, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, my goal is to someday have this car sound like a GT3. I believe that the exhaust sound that this car is currently making is even better than that. It kind of sounds like a mix between a straight piped air-cooled 911, like a race spec one, and a GT3. It's kind of like a hybrid between those two. I would not change a thing about it. No notes. 10 out of 10, love it. We're making a track-focused 911 here. Therefore, we want to kind of invoke that emotional response, and boy, does it. It gives me like this primal joy to drive this car. I just want to keep getting in the throttle deeper and deeper so I can hear that sound. All right, now let's talk elephant in the room, the entire reason for the season, for the beefening project, and that was the suspension. When you drive this car now, it feels so much more balanced. It's such a more well-rounded package. It's phenomenal. I'm so thrilled with how everything turned out. The weight shift happens so much more quickly and is therefore so much more confidence inspiring. And you can just tell that this thing is just so locked in and planted. Now we have this very well-rounded car overall. It goes like a bat out of hell, and now it corners and brakes like a bat out of hell. So we made a much more well-rounded, balanced 996. Let's talk about the cost of the beefening project as a whole really quickly. Starting out with the ACU Sump, we have the Hardtech oil pump cover. That was very much not cheap. That was $575, ouch. Then we have the 2-quart ACU Sump itself. That was $328.56. The mounting clamps for that were another $42. Electronic control valve for it, that's a big chunk, $275. Then there's the pressure control valve, which controls when that electronic valve opens and closes based on the pressure in the ACU Sump. That was another $108. Then AN fittings and lines to be able to plumb in this ACU Sump, $172. Then we've got our oil pump gasket because we had our new cover. That's cheap, obviously. That's only $8.31 for a total of $1,510 for the ACU Sump install. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. That dollar figure is definitely worth the peace of mind to ensure that my very expensive engine is protected at all times. For example, right now I'm running 200 treadwear tires on the car. I could absolutely go ahead and run our compound tires on this car if I wanted to and know that the oiling system is going to keep up. So future expansion is possible without putting my engine at risk. Worth every dollar to have that peace of mind. So now let's talk suspension. The Feel coilovers, they were $1,619. This just includes the base one-way Feel coilovers with the radial bearings. I just wanted to be able to dip my toe in the world of coilovers, which obviously will transform the handling of my car massively. I'm not someone who's going, oh, I need the 3-way adjustable dampers. I'm just a casual track weekend enthusiast. I don't need something that's going to shave off hundredths of a second like that. Control arms, front and rear. We had $853 for the rear and $492 for the front. There's much more control arms in the rear, hence why it was more expensive. Wheel bearings for all 4 corners, $253 for a total of $3,218 for the suspension project, giving us a total beefening cost of $4,728. So I'm not gonna say that this car is done because there's always something that you can do to a car to make it better. But for now, I can say that Project Beef and this current project of the beefening are completed once we add this right here. This goat sticker, which will now and forever live on the back corner of this window. Now, is the goat sticker a little bit corny? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But it's not the sticker that matters, it's what it represents. It's all of the blood, sweat, and tears and money that goes into making a car your greatest spec of all time. And this one, for me, truly is the GOAT now. With that, we are going to go ahead and call this beefening series done. She now has the GOAT sticker, therefore we can put the bow on this project. If you enjoyed this video series, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And please comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this series. Let me know what you think of the exhaust. Let me know what you think of this spec overall. Would you do it like this? What would you do differently? I'd love to hear what you have to say. And also please subscribe to see even more Porsche and just general car content coming down the pipeline to you via Fun Ahead TV every single week. So, thank you all again so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, you, I'm looking right at you. And I will see you all in the next episode. Later.
Pull back. Drop in and just smack the